So the Splinter Cell remake was announced back in 2021. The announcement itself was a bit of an odd one, because they mainly just talked about the game, only showing footage of the original, but they never actually showed anything regarding the remake. Ubisoft was saying many of the right things for this announcement, in how it understands the importance of certain aspects of the series, especially to be in line with Splinter Cell's established identity. It was apparent that the team was trying to build something to be a foundation for the future, and not a one-off type of thing, but rather what appeared to be a new place for the series to sort of reset. Generally, the information available really just left stuff up in the air. Lots of elements to kind of think about, and we were all left to wonder what would happen, or what it would be like. We knew they wanted to make it linear, over open world, but how would that work? What elements of the original would be found here? We really had no idea. And we are here, years later, and there doesn't seem to be much heard or even seen about this game. I'm left to wonder, will this remake be silently cancelled? So the Splinter Cell remake was announced in late 2021. Nothing was shown. We have no idea what the gameplay will be like, if Ironside will even return, what points of the story will come back as well. So in 2024, this led to some rumors going around that this title had actually been cancelled. That kinda would make sense considering many of the prior points I just mentioned. You announce a game and have nothing to show for it for years. It doesn't take a genius to think that maybe this sort of thing just isn't going to be coming out. In the fall of 2024, the outlet Insider Gaming got the scoop that the Splinter Cell remake was in fact still in development. It was using the Snowdrop engine. For those who have played any of the massive entertainment games, have seen this engine in action. Outside of that fact, the game was not dead. This really is the only thing that we have to go off of. This small article saying that Ubisoft is still working on it, and maybe they are planning to get this title out by 2026. Honestly, I have no idea if Ubisoft as a company is going to make it that long. But if that is the case, one would think that maybe near the end of this year, or the middle at the earliest, we'd start to see some stuff from the developers, showing off the gameplay or anything like that. Another thing to point out too, is that Ubisoft was working on a remaster for Splinter Cell Blacklist that was supposed to come out in 2024, and we never heard anything about it. The only reason we know about it is that information was leaked. So will we see that released as well? Or will both projects fall into obscurity? I want to take this moment to point out how the original Splinter Cell game is a great game. The entire series is. Each one of the games I feel like has aged very well. Sure, the first game feels like the Splinter Cell concept in its most rawest form, where with something like say Chaos Theory feels like they were able to refine the formula close to perfection. So having said that, I'm still in the camp of this title does not need to be remade. I very much would prefer that the developers would have gone in the direction of making a sequel to Blacklist. That doesn't mean they need to make a Splinter Cell title exactly like that game. They could have made it more like Chaos Theory if they wanted to, but continue the story on, bring in a new threat that Sam and crew need to then take down, and most of all, bring back Ironside. That man is the key, and Ubisoft has been wasting the time that we have left with that actor. Ubisoft has taken almost 10 years to provide us with another Splinter Cell title. What are you doing, Ubisoft? You need to do better. Another thing to point out is that while I do think that the remake is unneeded, and not the path I think the series should take, if I had the power to do so, but according to a job listing for the project, Ubisoft plans on making the story and narrative for a modern audience. That is one of those red flags that just never means something is good. Every time I see that, I'm like, who is this modern audience? If you focus too much on this group that honestly doesn't exist, it could alienate the actual historical fans. And those historical fans are the ones who are hungry for a new game. They want it. By now we can point to too many situations where big companies set out to make a legacy sequel, and they end up not curating that experience to the people that actually helped to build it up. I understand wanting to get new players on board, but you don't do that by solely focusing on them. Appeal to your base. Make a very Splinter Cell game through making a true and quality Splinter Cell title. That will then attract new players to come in and check it out as well. Good word of mouth can be a powerful thing. Make the fans happy, respect the legacy, honor what came before you. Now sure, even through the use of the language modern audience, it doesn't automatically mean that something like this is gonna be bad, but it does put me on alert because I'm like any of that unneeded nonsense or changes to the story and characters might occur here. Look, I miss this series, I still love it. I think the games are great. I do want it to come back. I think a set of remasters and a new sequel is how I would do it. At the same time, I don't want Sam or Splinter Cell to come back in a way where it's ruined. I don't want to see this character subverted, try and satisfy some new writer's hack story. I want him to be respected and treated like how all of us players see him. So in that sense, if we never end up getting this remake, that might end up being a good thing in the end, because Splinter Cell was never in a position where it was actually ever ruined, because regardless, these games will continue to live on with the fandom that loves them. I bring a lot of this up because when you look at the current situation at Ubisoft, I think we may end up getting a more official answer on this in the future, like this year. Yes, we have not seen anything from this remake, nor do we really have a lot of information from Ubisoft itself on it, but when you look at that they are apparently in the talks with Tencent with some type of buyout situation, along with what appears to be the future of Ubisoft riding on the success of Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's that sort of stuff that had me considered about Splinter Cell and the future of it. The reception around Assassin's Creed Shadows has not been good. Players have been voicing their concerns, and any chance that Ubisoft can take to actually market their game, they seem to be able to fumble it every step of the way. You could even make the argument that Ubisoft is continually shooting itself in the foot. That being said, Assassin's Creed has a rather large fan base, and the prior entries have sold a lot, so it will be interesting to see if they come out and buy Shadows. But at the same time, those players have a great alternative now, and it's been out for a while, and it's very good with Ghost of Tsushima, so there's way too many variables at play, and I do not know which direction this is going to go in. If we do not have anything shown for Splinter Cell, and this keeps going, well, I think it will probably be easy for Ubisoft to silently let this project die. There could be a situation where Ubisoft gets bought out, and a new company, whether that be Tencent or someone else, that wants to take on the work that was done with the remake so far and maybe continue it. But if you know anything about Tencent, I would be concerned about whatever changes they want to make to Splinter Cell 1, especially related to its plot. But based on that insider information, the project is currently not cancelled, even though we haven't seen anything from it, and it was announced back in 2021. I do think game developers need to stop announcing their stuff so far out, especially if they have nothing to show for it. It only hurts them in the long run. So the Splinter Cell remake may not be cancelled, but it certainly could be heading in that direction. What are your thoughts on all of this? Do you want a Splinter Cell remake? Is this something that interests you? Who is this modern audience? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.